Vidar and Catherine Ligard are the founders of SafariMission.org. Vidar Ligard is also the author of A Fork in the Road, a book that gives you life lessons you were not taught in school and that the church did not tell you. And that is what Safari Mission Podcast is all about, teaching practical steps to personal growth and development. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Vidar and Catherine Ligard.
Well, today we're going to talk about character. A person's character tells a lot about the person. And, what do we look for? So I'm going to start reading Psalms 15 out of the Passion Translation again. I just like how that translation just brings things out that is just so clear to understand. I'm actually going to read the whole psalm. So Psalm 15 is a poetic song by David. And first is a question. Yahweh, who dares to dwell with you? Who presumes the privilege of being close to you, living next to you in your shining place of glory? And then the next verse starts with the answer, and the rest of the psalm is the answer of who is close to God. They are passionate and wholehearted, always sincere and always speaking the truth. For their hearts are trustworthy. They refuse to slander or insult others. They'll never listen to gossip or rumors, nor would they ever harm a friend with their words. They will despise evil and evil workers, while commending the faithful ones who follow after the truth. They make firm commitments and follow through, even at great cost. They never crush others with exploitation, and they would never be bought with a bribe against the innocent. Those who do these things will never be shaken. They will stand firm forever.
Very good. Somebody said character is what you do when nobody is looking.
Yeah.
Or your true character is not what you portray in public, and especially not on Sunday morning. It's who are we when we're having a difficult day?
Yes.
That because anybody can let the sun shine when the sun is already shining.
We can all put a facade on when we are out and about. You go to work, you can have a facade, but when you come home, your true character shines. We can all have a facade. We're up on the pulpit on Sunday morning or when we minister. But who are we when we are home with our families? When we look at and pick other, say, instructors for a school or, say, other ministry we want to be close to, what do we look at? We do not look at the anointing that they have behind the pulpit. We look at their family life, and we see the character that they show in their families. If they do not treat their own family right, they're not going to treat God's family right.
Right. Yeah, you look at family life. One thing I also look at is how do they treat the people that can do nothing for them in return?
Yeah.
How do you treat, I don't like to use this phrase, but how do you treat the nobodies of society? Or how do you treat those that don't have an opportunity to do anything for you in return?
Mm-hmm.
I remember somebody asked Brother Hagin, and Brother Hagin commented, that's Dr. Kenneth E. Hagin, how do you find a good minister? What do you look for? And he said, well, I would go to their home. Mm-hmm. I would observe what's happening in their living room. Then beyond that, I would check up on their bedroom, on the private bathroom, and I would go to the sock drawer and take a look at what's happening in the sock drawer. In other words, look at the most private things of these individuals to see what really happens. How do they talk in private about other people? How do they think about other people in private? What does their generosity look like when nobody else is looking? Character is who you are when nobody else is looking.
That is true. And this psalm says so many different things. And just going back into this, it says, they are always sincere and always speaking the truth. So just there, if you have a person that says one thing to one person and another thing to another person, they're not speaking the truth all the time. They're
No, that
just
means you're speaking what you want, what you think the other person want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. And that doesn't show any character. You must be able to speak the truth, whether that's what's going to benefit you or not. You know, you're not there to gain for yourself and just looking for opportunity to further yourself. You are there because you speak the truth, because you have something to give to other people.
Yeah, I can think of networking events, or you're out. Maybe you've made an appointment with somebody,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you find another opportunity. So you cancel the first appointment and you set up an appointment because you think, oh, I got to speak to somebody who's a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I often, you rub shoulder at networking events or social events where there's a lot of people, and you can see this with people that you start talking to one person, and the moment you see another person show up, you leave in the middle of a conversation, or you abruptly close down the conversation and you rush over to talk to this other person.
Mm-hmm.
Right away, you know this is not a person that's going to stick to their commitments.
They're not steady. They're not stable. They're
Right.
they're not based. They don't have the foundation of truth. They just have the foundation of, I want to go here, I want to go here, what's going to benefit me most, and they don't have character to be faithful to the one they committed to, regardless of who that person was.
Yeah, it's character does not produce fair weather friends.
Mhm.
You stay to your word, whether the sun is shining or the rain is raining.
And that's what it says here. I want to just read it again. Let's see. They make firm commitments and follow through even at great cost.
Yeah, that's a very good point. In the ESV, it reads like this: They swear to their own hurt and do not change. You know, there are times you make commitments, thinking that this is a good commitment to make, and then later on you find out that it's going to cost me more than I thought
Right.
to follow through on the commitment.
Right.
And then you want to go back and renegotiate the commitment.
Right.
No. You swear to your own hurt and you don't change.
Sure. You gave your word. What's
Right.
your word worth?
The worth of an individual is shown by how much is your word worth.
Right.
If people can't depend on your word,
Yeah.
then people can't depend on you.
Yeah.
If people can depend on your word, then people can depend on you.
Yeah.
So the value of your word and the value of you, it goes together. Your
Yeah.
character is shown, in other words, by how dependable is what you say.
Mhm.
I want to read, we're here in Psalms 15, but Jesus talks about making oaths in Matthew chapter 5. He says, you've heard it say of those of old, you shall not swear falsely. But then Jesus says it like this. He says, no, well, let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. I remember one time I had a person who was trying for me to get me to sign something in order to make a commitment. And I said, no, I'm not signing that. I gave you my word. And if you can't trust me based on my word, then my signature is no value either. I'm not signing. It wasn't a legal contract or anything like that. It was somebody who wanted me just to sign on a commitment that I was making. I refused. No, let your yes be yes or your no be no.
Right. And that builds trust. Because if you continually promise and you continually deliver that promise, people start trusting you. That builds trust. And the opposite is also true. If you continually promise something, but you continually break your promise, that builds distrust. Because you haven't proven that I have a reason to trust you.
Yeah.
And so I have friends and every time they commit to something, they always follow through. There's no exception. I mean, they're better. If there was an exception, they're on their way to the hospital because something happened, because they are always true to their words. So they built that trust. So when they say, let's meet here at 10 o'clock, I know they'll be there at 10, so I'm going to be there at 10.
Right.
And we have built that trust because they've proven again and again they're faithful. They're faithful to their word. The same thing is true with other people. They never show up when they agree to show up. So guess what? We have an appointment And I'm like, I'm not sure if this person is showing up. And if that happens many times, guess what? I'm not going to show up at all. I'm not going to even commit to showing up because the other person is not trustworthy. The other person hasn't built that trust because they have built distrust instead. And when you have distrust, why should I associate with people who cannot be trusted? Because they say something and you don't know if that's the truth, if they're going to follow up on what they said.
Right, right. You know, there were people in the Corinthian church that had questions about some of Paul's commitments. He said he was going to come show up, and they're like, this guy is waiting, is lingering, I don't think he's going to come. And so Paul writes to them, 2 Corinthians 1:18, and he says, as surely as God is faithful, our word to you does not waver between yes and no.
Mm.
He says, as surely as God is faithful, our word to you does not waver between yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
And here's an important thing to understand regarding faith and being able to trust God.
Mm-hmm.
When your own word is trustworthy, you will have less of a challenge trusting what God has said because you're already placing value and weight on words.
Mm-hmm.
You put weight on your own words. You make sure your own words are weighty. You know, sometimes you hear of a person when he says something, their words are weighty. What does that mean? That person has built a reputation of following through on their words, and you know, they don't have to shout, they don't have to scream, they don't have to make a lot of noise and all of this. They've said something, and you know you can take that word to the bank, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's what Paul is saying here. As surely as God is faithful, we should be reflections of our God.
Mm-hmm.
And our word, we should show the same faithfulness that God is showing. And Paul is saying, as surely as God is faithful, our word to you does not waver between yes and no.
Exactly. And you know, God cannot lie. It's not in his nature to lie. And if we're going to be like God, if we are, you know, if we have his nature in us, we should strive to be like him. We shouldn't be lying. We shouldn't be wavering. We shouldn't go back and forth. You know, even James, when he talks about praying, but talks about a wavering man, not like being steady, but is tossed by the wind like the sea is. You know, it really tells you that man cannot expect to get anything from God because he's not steady. He's not firm. And so it comes again and again and again in the scripture. I don't think there's any dispute about what the scripture really says about let your yes be yes and your no be no, and that your words have power and your words are important just like God's nature, you know, he cannot lie. And if we have God's nature in us, we should not be lying. You know, in fact, you know, if you go to the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not lie. That's one of them. Yeah. And so how important is our word and the promises that we make to other people that just shows the character that is in us.
Yeah. And if you want to think about how to build a strong business, it's the same. There is a faithfulness in the level of service.
Yes.
And there's a faithfulness in the quality of product that comes forth from a good business.
Yes.
That has to do with character.
Yes.
So if the manager is feeling like you're having a bad day, you don't work at 50% because you don't feel it right that day. No, you produce high-level products and high-level services no matter whether the sun is shining or the rain is raining.
Yeah. And you just decide to, it should be your character. It should be the character of your business. You know, especially here in Kenya, I've come across so many times. I go to have something made, which is great. You know, there's a lot of good handcraft things here. And I make my first order somewhere. It could be furniture, it could be something printed, it could be all kinds of things. And the first time they do a phenomenal job and the price is right. The next time, and it baffled me, you know, because where we're from and in business world, you learn that the most important customer you have is the repeat customers. And businesses fight to keep a faithful customer because they know how hard it is to get a new one. It is so much cheaper to retain a customer than it is to try to get a new one. And so, you know, in business world, you learn that you get discounts to a faithful customer. That's why you have these loyalty points. If you go to certain store, you get loyalty points. You can get discounts because they know how costly it is to keep you. But then I've gone to so many other, smaller,
establishments.
yeah,
businesses.
or people who do things like different kinds of businesses, and the more you keep coming back, the service goes lower, the quality goes down. And 100% of the time when that happens to me, I don't go back. I find a new one, which I don't like it because that's more effort on my part. I'd like to stay loyal to the same person who is printing me something or making something of a furniture or something like that. But they are not staying faithful to the service they started providing. And, they lose me as a customer as a result. And they might not realize how costly that is, but it is very costly. And the reputation goes down because then I am going to speak about that to my friends. If I consistently get good quality and good price, I'm going to talk about that to my friends. And if that goes down, I'm going to say to my friends, don't go there. And, we learned in business class that one person is going to tell, when it's a negative thing, it's going to tell at least 7 other friends about it. So you didn't just affect me as a customer, you affected me plus 7 more. And then when they hear that rumor, guess they're going to talk to their friends, and it just is a ripple effect.
Negative PR spreads much more quickly
Yeah.
than positive PR. So
Right.
it's very important that you keep up the positive product or the high quality product and the high quality service.
Mm-hmm.
What else can we say about character? I'm thinking about not being able to say no or being able to say no to money when a deal is not right.
Exactly. And that's a big one because, the Bible talks about who do you serve? Do you serve God or do you serve mammon, which is money? And there are times when we've had investment opportunities.
Sure.
We were approached and but the business we were approached to invest into is doing things we do not approve of is a better word than like, because it's not just like, but we think that their practices are evil, and therefore, yes, could we make money? Yes, but we would also support evil ways of doing business.
God loves good business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying good business.
Yeah.
Good business is always a deal where all parties benefit.
Yeah.
If you plant in a farm good, healthy produce and you sell good, healthy produce, it's good for everybody. But there are those that they cut so many corners that the product that they sell actually contains a lot of harmful ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to support that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember back in the U.S., today there's a wave of narcotics being permissible.
Mm-hmm.
And I know of believers that are getting involved in marijuana businesses,
Mm-hmm.
chat businesses, weed businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the product you're involved with is doing more harm than good.
Mm-hmm.
Why would a Christian be involved in a tobacco business where you're harming people in this business?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about. You can make a lot of money in tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a lot of money in weed. You can make a lot of money in marijuana. Those are easy areas to make lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
But my character and my ethics is more important than the money that is involved in these things. And so we've turned out opportunities to make good money because, maybe we would make money, but there are other parties in this transaction that would not be helped by the transaction.
Right.
So we won't do it.
Right. And that's where it comes back to that's why the Bible talks about who do you serve? Who is your master? Is it money? Or is it God? Because when you come to these crossroads, and everyone gets there at some point, are you just going to go for the easy money? Are you just going to go follow the money? Or are you going to follow God and His principles and to promote His work on the earth, you know. And so, yes, there might be times you have to let go and say no to business opportunities, investment opportunities that would have brought you money, just because you know that the activities going on or the industry, it's not good. It's not a good thing. And so what principles do you stand on?
Right.
What's more important to you? Is it money or is it to do good? And when they are conflicting, that's when your character will show.
Yeah, and it really comes back to a couple of things. One is the fear of God
Mhm.
in our life,
Mhm.
and the other thing is having a larger faith in God that He is able to prosper and bless than I am in the glamour and the splendidness of what looks like a good deal. No, I place my trust in God. I place my trust that God is the one who will promote me
Yeah.
when I consistently do the right thing
Mhm.
day by day.
Right. Yes. And so that's when character is shown. What do we do when we think no one is looking? What's happening behind closed doors, inside a family? You know, how do you treat other people with respect or not respect? You know, and that's when character is showing all those things. So how do you treat people who can't return the same favor to you? And that's how character is showing. But you know what? God always sees us.
Yeah. And that's what it says. You swear to your own hurt. In other words, you get yourself into a situation where the pressure is on to compromise.
Mhm.
And you don't change when the pressure is on.
Right.
When you're under pressure, people are trying to hurt you, people are trying to damage you. You're still in the business of blessing people.
Right.
Your character is shown not on the sunny day, but it's shown on the rainy day. It's shown when you don't feel well.
Yeah.
It's shown when you're under great pressure. You then still have the backbone to show godly character when the pressure is on. If you will build that and then place your trust in God, then God will be the one that is promoting you. So I would say build strong and good character, because it will outlast anyone and anything else that is out there.
That's right. So make a decision today, make a choice today that your character will be like what it talks about in the Bible, and then you'll stand firm on the right things, on the truth, and don't waver when it becomes difficult. God bless you.
Well, that's it for today. Watch out for our next episode with teachings from Vidar and Catherine Ligard. Like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages at Safari Mission. You can also visit our website www.safarimission.org or call us at +254 74 1777 805 to know more about Safari Mission and how you can get yourself a copy of Vidar Ligard's book, A Fork in the Road.